Because it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope and then you bang your head on the ring apron. That's when you feel like a big dope, 'cause they're the worst bumps you can be taking. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you reach out for the hot tag, and you go ahead and make your own comeback, knock it off. That's when you should quit wrestling, and you're better off rolling in thumbtacks. Hey, you the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Now double claps. Let's go, Bob Squad. We're going to keep it rolling. Extra double claps. It's a good NXT, so it gets more claps. The hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Whoa, Nelly. We're at it again. This is the second time in just a few hours. Jumping off the walls, daddy. Bouncing off the ceiling. Saving trees, hugging whales, kissing hands, shaking babies, rubbing salt in a wound, throwing gas on a fire, adding insult to injury. The proverbial squared circle, expecting the unexpected, the irresistible force makes the immovable object. Stick a fork in him, he's done. There, he's done. They're hanging from the rafters. We got an ass every 18 inches. You can cut the electricity with a knife. What are we talking about, you crazy cats? The Hulu edition. The Hulu edition, limited commercial interruption. Hulu edition of the June 15th, 2021 NXT. And I'm going to waste no time. This may be a very boring episode. Why? Because the show was good. The show was very good. This show might have been better than the takeover they did on Sunday. A ton of stuff happened. We can't expect a show like this every week. It's not good to do the show like this every week, because then it all gets hot-shotted and you can't remember any of it. But damn, this is one of the best NXT. This might be the best NXT episode of the year. It was very good. And I know there were at least 2 segments or matches that I missed because I have it on Hulu. But be that as it may. That notwithstanding, nevertheless, all things considered, on the other hand, we have a recap of In Your House tonight. We recap all the events that took place there. You can listen to the hardest part of the ring, In Your House Takeover, June 13th episode, if you want to hear all about that. Mr. William Regal, or Mr. Regal as he is announced, comes to the ring to no music. Which on one hand, it's like give the guy some music. On the other hand, yeah, the GM, why would the GM come out to music? But since he was a wrestling personality first, I think he could have had his music. I would have been okay with that. Not to nitpick. But oh my god, is he amazing. He cuts the saddest beaten down man promo with genuine feelings about NXT, and this is how you do it. You take real feelings, real events, and just put a little twist on the end, which is, related to where this story is supposed to go. But you say a bunch of real stuff, so you're going to mean it, and everyone's going to know that you mean it, and they're going to believe it. The best way to get someone to believe a lie is tell them 5 things, and the first 4 are true, and the 5th one is your lie. Everyone's going to believe your lie. And William Regal was absolutely a master of this. He took his time. And NXT is not known for long, talky segments up top, so when they do it once in a blue moon, it's all right, and you're doing it with someone that everyone there cares about. Scarlett and the other guy walk to the ring. So Karrion Kross and Scarlett are heels again? Weren't they babyfaces 2 days prior? Anyway, Karrion Kross is a dickhead to William Regal and telling him, just say that you lost control, say that I'm in charge because I'm the champion, and you should give up and quit and leave and never come back, and you're British. No, I didn't say that part. And then, hey, it wasn't much of a surprise because of the way the media works nowadays, but Samoa Joe's music hits, and you know where this is going. And there was a little bit of a twist, a pleasant twist on this. Samoa Joe is offered by William Regal, William's position, and Samoa Joe actually declines. And he says, I have too much respect for you. I don't want you to go anywhere, Regal. We've had our troubles in the past, but I will offer the position. I will accept this position as long as you keep yours as well. And William Regal says, 2 things. You're not allowed to compete, and you can't get involved with anyone physically unless provoked. And he paused before the big pregnant pause, very knocked up pause. Someone ejaculated in that pause, and then a baby came out of the pause 9 months later after the sperm was ovulated by the egg. That pause was so pregnant. My goodness, the punchline's water would break. Okie dokie. And then the big pause, unless you are provoked, which paid off really quickly. I thought they'd take weeks to pay it off and not minutes. But so the one thing is now Joe's in his early 40s, and I'd love to see him wrestle because I love seeing him wrestle. But what's he really supposed to do here? Joe, if I'm watching the show for the first time, I always try to tell wrestling fans, because we get so lost in a wrestling bubble in the way we look at things. Like, the Big Show is actually a weird name to call somebody, but we're so used. Triple H as a name actually doesn't make any sense if you're watching the show for the first time, but we're so used to it, we don't think about it. If I'm watching this program for the first time, A to Z, not just up into this segment, Samoa Joe might be 43 or something, but guess what? If I'm watching the show for the first time, even across from Karrion Kross, Joe looks like the toughest motherfucker on the show. He does. If I'm watching for the first time, and I don't know anything that Joe was a wrestler, or still is, I shouldn't say was, and I don't know anything about Joe's history recently of injuries and this, that, and the other thing, and that he was just announcing on Raw. I don't know anything about that. I'm just watching this show for the first time. I'm looking at, well, Joe's the biggest badass on this thing. He's the most believable badass. He cuts believable badass promos, and he was a believable badass in Karrion Kross's face. And Kross is a few inches on him. Who cares? Joe's a big, thick guy. He's older. He's weathered. He has a legitimate, no-nonsense vibe. And he doesn't have to yell to get it across. It's believable. The Joe's gonna chant Joe, and Joe's gonna. Joe marches to the ring. I actually believe him. I go, geez, someone's in trouble. So I was so happy to see it. We go backstage. There's a big pull apart, and I thought it was like a replay, or did my Hulu thing skip again, like it did when I was watching Raw, to like an older episode, and I got confused. No, it was Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole being pulled apart in the back, and William Regal in the middle of them, just yelling at them, being upset, and Joe walks by and tells him to calm down. You got to chill out. And Adam Cole rushes past Joe and pushes him. Not like a big giant colossal shove, but just a little bit of shove out of the way. And Joe pauses, takes off his jacket. But when he pauses before taking off the jacket, he lets the audience slowly remember. Joe uses his face and his mannerisms to let the audience remember what was just said and why this is important. And then he chokes out Adam Cole, and it's so believable. I mean, forgive me. I mean, I love Adam Cole, but Joe's 3 times the size, and Joe chokes him out, and he even told them, whatever officials or security guards or wrestling students in security T-shirts, whoever the hell was there, I forget, says when he wakes up, tell him he has a match next week, something like that. Which is, and it doesn't hurt Adam Cole at all, by the way. Which is perfect. It's so perfect. I believed all of it. That's the thing. What I don't believe is next Kushida has an open challenge, and there's some guy named Trey Baxter who is all heart, and he's a good guy, and he does a lot of flying and flipping, which is what they tell us before he even wrestles, and he does, and I almost fell asleep. Kushida beats Trey Baxter by submission really fast. Not really fast, not true. I don't know, 7-8 minutes, something like that. They had a match, as a tap out. And then Kyle O'Reilly Auto Parts. There's an O'Reilly Auto Parts chain in America, if you don't know. And that's the jingle. O'Reilly Auto Parts. He comes out and he looks at Kushida and says they should wrestle. I thought, wasn't Kyle O'Reilly in a big pull apart with Adam Cole minutes ago? But now Kyle O'Reilly has an interest in babyface Kushida for some reason. Maybe they'll split off and it'll be a Cole Joe thing, and Kyle will take the consolation purple belt or whatever. I don't know. So Kyle does a lot of nodding. He's nodding at Kushida, and Kushida is breathing through his nose a lot. He's tired. You could just breathe through your mouth too. Like, it's totally cool. Like, we're not doing yoga here, Kushida, but all right. The $1 million belt presentation is next. Oh my goodness. Heavens to Murgatroyd, sweet mother of pearl, every which way from Sunday. Heavens to Betsy, it is what it is. I am what I am. What I am at the end of the day, like it or not, win, lose, or draw, just being the best Bob I can be, if you know what I mean. I think that you don't. Anyway, you slice it. We have Ted and Knight. I love that. It's Ted Knight is there from Caddyshack and Too Close for Comfort. Ted DiBiase and LA Knight are there. I wish Ted Knight was there. Like they're talking too long, and he just goes, "Well," from Caddyshack. Ah, man, it's a shame he's dead. He'd be 108, but be that as it may, Ted DiBiase is there, and LA Knight drives up in his fancy car and his douchey jacket and his cigar, and he's just superstar. He's just dripping superstar. I know they say the word drip too much nowadays, but whatever. Um, and LA Knight cuts a long promo, and for LA Knight, I was even like, this is a little long, and it's sappy, and yada yada yada. And he tells DiBiase how much he admired DiBiase when he was a kid, etc., etc., etc. And DiBiase, and this is perfect because DiBiase did a bunch of talking and setting this up until this time, but this is the time where he has to sit back, and even though he's one of the greatest promos ever, he has to not talk much here for it to work. We need this to be LA Knight's moment for it to work. And was it ever? LA Knight finally says, and to be the best champion, blah, 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 blah. It takes a sweet time. I gotta get rid of the things holding me back. And he punches DiBiase. Now, before we get to the perfect moment, DiBiase has not been touched since '93. Even when he was a manager at all the first In Your Homes in the early to mid '90s there. I call him that. The In Your Homes. The last time he was touched on WWE TV was SummerSlam '93 with Razor, and I think he got hurt in Japan like a month after that or something close to that. Someone will tell me in the comments or not, who cares. But anyway, since the fall of '93, no one's touched Ted DiBiase because it was neck injuries, this, that, and the other. He even won a Battle Royal on Raw during one of those Legends things a couple of years back, like 10 years back, by just walking to the ring and paying Urban Archeister to climb over the top rope. No one's touching Ted DiBiase. And not only did I not see that punch coming, and it was a beautifully thrown, working, wrestling, manly punch. Everyone should punch like LA Knight just punched. Big swing back. He connected, didn't knock any teeth out or whatever, but he made his contact. It was all along the side of the jaw, of the chest. And DiBiase takes a bump. Oh my God. Muscle memory. Both feet out, flat back. Hands, I'll just get into it. Hands, triceps, forearms, but hopefully not your elbows against the mat. Probably took the breath when he hit the mat going down. Again, both feet in the air. Maybe even, I couldn't even tell, but if he was able to arch your middle back just a little bit if you can. I don't know. He's got some. I mean, he's not as thin as he was. No disrespect, but he's 60. One sound, just oh my God! And then LA Knight puts the boots to him. And here's how brilliant LA Knight is. He purposely leaves the $1 million belt, which he decides he's going to keep. What a fucking heel! He leaves the belt and the jacket by the ring, near the ring side or near the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring if you didn't know. And then he puts the boots, and these are perfect boots to DiBiase's upper body. They're connecting, and there's a loud noise. There's no leg slapping. It's more of a traditional stomp. There's no leg slapping. LA Knight doesn't do dumb bullshit. I'll talk about the leg slapping again in a second, but he's putting the boots to him. Cameron Grimes runs out, and Cameron's a house of fire. And Cameron, hey, you know what he did? He ran to the ring, and there was no music hitting. They didn't play Cameron's music, and then LA Knight has to stop what he's doing and turn and look and be all wide-eyed and wait. I can't believe he's coming. No, Cameron Grimes runs out. 3 fast bumps off the punches. Boom, up, Boom. LA Knight immediately sells to the rope on the correct side of the ring where he left the belt in the jacket already. Clothesline backwards over the top. Sells everything Cameron did. Goes half up the ramp. Goes back. Gets his belt, his jacket. Goes back up the ramp. Looks pissed off. We have our match. Our new story is obviously going to be... No, I never say obviously. Our new story is likely going to be Cameron doing everything he can to win that title back and get some measure of revenge on LA Knight, who now can afford to lose. He couldn't afford to lose that ladder match, I don't think. Now, down the road, a few months down the road, I mean, back in my day, it would have taken 4 to 6 months, but let's be honest, 2 months down the road, now LA Knight can afford to finally lose that match to Cameron Grimes, and it'll be okay. If that's where they go. I don't know. But that's how it's done. What a segment. Everyone involved. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Everyone involved. Can't say enough good things about it. See, told you it was going to be a boring show. I like stuff. And I'm not a negative asshole, hates everything. A blonde lady is talking to Raquel. Mackenzie, the blonde lady, is talking to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. And you're right, Boba Hicks, honorary Bob Squad member. Mackenzie is also sexually attractive. There's going to be a tag match, Raquel and Dakota. And keep in mind, Raquel is already the NXT Women's Champion, versus Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter. Why are those their names? Get new names, or just don't tag if those are going to be your names. Why would you do that to the audience? There's a big pull apart before the tag match backstage with the Legion of Gimmicks 3000, the LOG 3000, brawls with Dakota and Raquel. And there's a band. Joe is there too to help Regal separate these 4 women. And once it gets out of control, Samoa Joe chokes out Sloppy Blackheart. No, he does not. He does not do that. Oh, Kushida and Trey Baxter gets 16,000 stars. Just want to let you know that. We have a tag match between Casey and Kaden versus Dakota and Raquel, and the bad guys win. Dakota gets the pin here, which is probably needed, but Raquel was so dominant, she's catching their flippity athletic thingies left and right. So far, the 2 matches, I think this match was the best one of the show. It was better than the Trey Baxter Kushida thing to me. This had heels and faces. I knew who I was supposed to cheer for and why. I knew why I was supposed to care here. Raquel decided she wanted even more gold, and Dakota obviously wants gold. And to be the NXT Tag Team Women's Champions again, because they were for like an hour or so, for the first ones. So that all makes perfect sense. And that little Dakota versus Raquel, they'll plant it somewhere down the line, and I just hope it's not soon, but it's always going to be there. It's always there when you need it. We go to Regal and Joe. They're backstage, and the Way interrupts them because we have to put Johnny Gargamel. And yes, Chris, I'm glad you saw a Gargamel match. I feel bad. I hope you don't waste too much of your time watching this nonsense just to keep up with my other nonsense. But Gargamel and Austin Theory interrupt Regal and Joe just to be idiots. Joe kicks him out, which makes perfect sense. Hey, Joe looks like he could just be their angry dad, who could throw him out of the room for being imbeciles and ruining a quiet Sunday afternoon. Then somebody else comes out. Pete Dunne comes in, and him and Joe stare at each other. I'm not sure why that happened, honestly. Our main event is also a tag match. It's a tomato tag match where it's a tomato tag match where you don't have to have any tags. It's just the 4 of them, 2 versus 2, fighting at the same time. And it's Tommaso Ciampa, and Timothy Thatcher, who they're calling the Toothless Tim or something. He's got missing some teeth. Versus the grizzled young veterinarians. And under tomato tag rules, they're all wrong. This was awesome. This is just 4 dudes beating the shit out of each other, but it was tough. It was hard hitting. Ciampa and Thatcher. Again, grown men just smacking dudes around. I mean, James Drake is the smallest and prettiest of the 4, and he's still like a tough-looking dude. I love Zach Gibson. He's always fun. And these guys brawled all over the place and gave you what they promised. And they told as much story as they possibly could in this match. Um, there was a diving doomsday device on the outside that Tommaso Ciampa took. He was sitting on Gibson's shoulders, and James Drake does the dive, and Tommaso flips back. I mean, with him in his neck, I get so worried. It was a little sad for me because I'm such a big Ciampa guy to see, like, okay, they're talking about Karrion Kross just went through all the top guys. He went through Dunn, Kyle, Cole, Gargamel. And I was like, what about Ciampa? Ciampa beat all those guys. Like, he didn't beat Cole, but you know what I mean. Ciampa beat Gargano a million times. He was one of the best champions. He beat Aleister Black for the thing, and he had to forfeit the title, and he never won it back. He had that great match with Walter this year. Why isn't Ciampa in that conversation? I don't understand. And do they want to do Ciampa and Thatcher versus MSK? I can't. If you're cheering MSK against Ciampa and Thatcher, I don't know what to tell you. I did note in an earlier women's tag match that Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, god damn it, they were like a female version of MSK. If MSK didn't do like douchey, cringy faces, so those two women did wrestle like that a bit, but for some reason I forgive them. I don't know why. Casey's very likable, and you just can't, you know, I don't know what to tell you. They're two underdogs. They're fighting from underneath. It wasn't too long. Anyway, we'll go back to the men's the tomato tag match. There was a spot on the outside. Oh, the spit. Yeah, there was spit on the outside. That's what I wrote. James Drake is near the ropes. He's inside the ring, but he's near the ropes, close to the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. And he just spits. Like, has there not been a thing going on for like a year and a half? It just spits. I thought it was gross. I didn't like it. I didn't really care for it. I think someone should be like, hey, dude, we're allowed to have people in the NXT thing, and that's very nice. We don't really see them. I don't know if they're wearing masks or not, or whatever the case may be. But whatever. It's the only regular WWE show that's allowed to have people as of right now. Don't intentionally, because I know people bleed and there's sweat everywhere, and people bleed yada yada by accident, but don't intentionally just fucking spin in the floor. That would, I wasn't a big fan of that. I think someone should come down on him for that. Don't fire him. Don't just be like, hey, dude, just not again. That's, I still love that both the tag teams here. I'm not sure. I'm just saying it was a you're tired. You're not thinking clearly. You got all these things going on. Which cameras where, and you got to wrestle this match and make it good. And and try not to kill yourself or kill someone else. I understand. You're all your faculties are kind of tied up, but just be mindful. Please don't do that again. Is the way I would approach it if it were me. I'd be like, hey, dude, just we're ignoring it, but please don't do that again. Oh, the announcer's table in NXT is definitely an NXT table because that thing doesn't sell shit either. Ciampa gives his move, his driver move to Drake, I think, or was it Gibson? I think it was Gibson through the announcer table, but wasn't through it. It was on it. Damn thing didn't break, and wow, that looks 20 times more painful when it doesn't break. Then the two good guys, Thatcher and Ciampa put a double submission. One's got an ankle lock, the other one's got an armbar on Drake, and Drake taps. And it still saves grizzled young veterans. I mean, they're heels, they can lose, they don't need to be saved, but it still protects them in a bit. Like, hey, we have one guy tapped because in two submission moves by two guys at the same time. But those are the tomato tag rules, so. I don't think grizzled young veterans versus MSK would be your marquee match for the tag team championships anyway. I think MSK, I mean, as much as I hate these babyface matches, and maybe I'm being selfish here, but personally I could get behind Thatcher and Ciampa against the Midget Street Crew more than anybody else. One last shot. We have a blonde lady outside is talking to William Regal and Samoa Joe, and they don't really say much. They just shake hands and say, all right, this was a great day one. Let's keep it going. They both get in a car, and then as the car drives away, it's those Vegas wedding tin cans on a bumper, and it says "just married" on the bumper. No, it does not. I apologize. It does not. It's just a big black car, and they drive away, and then we go off the air, and there you go. What a fun episode. Samoa Joe with Regal there adds a bit of life. I hope Regal stays with Joe is more of a. I mean, two GMs is not the best thing, but NXT's always been so good about keeping those things brief and meaningful with the authority figures that I have no doubt that they can. Regal always knows when to lay back, and for Regal to be the occasional, hey Joe, little old man advice, maybe don't do it this way, maybe do it this way. And maybe Joe not listening right away, but Joe eventually listening or something like that. There's plenty to do with Adam Cole. Who's going to be mad at Samoa Joe for embarrassing him and choking him out, etc., etc. There's going to be plenty of that. It's fun to watch wrestlers like the Garganos or whoever Gargamel to watch them storm into Regal's office and then Joe shuts them down. It's that's fun. We like to see that. We love Regal. We don't want to see him get like completely neutered every week. Sometimes people do have to be mean to them, to our William Regals and our Ted DiBiase's. But also, we want to see the comeuppance come as well. And if the comeuppance shouldn't usually come at the hands of the legend unless it's like a super legend, and this time the comeuppance should come in the hand of a babyface who is sticking up for the legend. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. Like Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase is a perfect example. Ted DiBiase does not need to get in the ring and beat LA Knight. And Ted DiBiase, if he gets any physical revenge, he should maybe get a punch in, and maybe the referee doesn't see it. LA Knight stumbles and Ted gets a punch in. For Ted to go in and hook the $1 million dream, maybe. I'm going to withdraw judgment, but everyone would go crazy for it. But it is great for long term. I don't know. I'm surprised at the end of the ladder match on Sunday that LA Knight didn't. No one's put the money down the throat of anybody yet. Maybe is it a COVID thing or just a modern day sanitation thing? You don't do that anymore because money is gross. But whatever. I'm waiting for that. Maybe that's the big payoff. Is Cameron Grimes beats LA Knight, leaves him out, dead selling in the ring 1, 2, 3, and in the middle, and DiBiase finally pulls out a few bills and shoves it in LA Knight's mouth and raises the hand of Cameron Grimes, who has the $1 million belt. Maybe. It's not a bad visual, but I don't know if there's a rule with the money and the germs or whatever the hell. Okie dokie. That's the hardest part of the ring for NXT. June 15, 2021. You guys are absolutely tremendous. You are the bee's knees. You are the cat's meow, the cat's pajamas. There is absolutely no stopping you like a champ, like an animal, like a beast, like a savage, like a warrior, like a madman, like a jackhammer, steamroller, like a firecracker, like a bulldozer, like a runaway freight train, all the way live, baby doll. Live on the edge of a lightning bolt, squeezing the lemons, stopping on a dime. Don't know where we're going, but we are making good time. The leg slaps real quick. When there was supposedly a sign a few months ago on Monday Night Raw saying no more leg slaps, did that mean transfer all of the leg slaps to NXT? Like, holy crap. They are leg slapping left and right, and one guy didn't, and it was LA Knight. Okay, just want to say that. Oh, I got the warm and fuzzies on this one. Thank you all. I'll probably upload more bullshit on this channel in a relatively near future, but one thing I am going to be careful of is slipping on a pool of saliva every time I walk past the hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da.